Creating a standout CV. My name is Liz Dawson. I'm the Learning and Development Business Partner from the Adecco Group. And during this session, again, I'm sharing hints and tips about how you can make a great CV that will really stand out in the market. So first of all, why is it important to have a great CV? Well, it's the first impression to a potential employer. And even though at the Adecco Group, we always speak on your behalf and have conversations, the majority of people still want to have a look at that physical CV and go through what you've done. I think a top quality CV will considerably boost your chance of getting a face-to-face interview. And just think potentially it could make all the difference in obtaining the position that you want. So in terms of what makes a CV great, it's making it unique. So think about the employment journey you've been on and what you've taken to get where you're at. A great CV tells that story on a page so that if you are a potential employer and they're interested in hiring you, it will make sense from top to bottom. They read it and go, do you know, I get it. I get where they're from, I get what they're looking for, and I get why they'd be good for me. So you want to make sure that you highlight your achievements and your accomplishments, but also that it's formatted correctly. At times we do see spelling mistakes and it can go against you. So just take the time going through it and making sure there's no errors. Also make sure it's concise. Definitely use bullet points where needed and include your individual sizzle points. If you're stuck on what sizzle points are, those facts and figures, we do have a further session based on that. But lastly, make sure it is tailored to the job that you'd like to obtain. So think about the industry or think about the skills they're looking for and make sure that you highlight that and it's really clear and visible. So formatting a CV, I'll reiterate again, ensure your spelling is correct. But on the screen, you'll see there that I've put the headings in the order that we ideally would advise you to do it. So it's the name and contact details, your personal statement, your key skills and achievements, then your employment history, and start with the most recent and work backwards. Your education, your hobbies and interests, and finally your references. So I'm going to go through each point in a little bit more detail because I think once you get that real clarity, it will really support you to put pen to paper and make a fantastic CV. So your personal statement. So make sure that your statement is unique. I'm going to share a bit of a secret with you now. So as recruitment professionals, we see hundreds of CVs a week. And even though they're from all walks of life, people from all different professions, there's some cliches that people fall into and put on their CV that makes it the same as everyone else. Well, before I was in recruitment, my CV definitely said this. So if your CV has examples on and it says in your personal statement that you have a great attention to detail, or you work well as part of a team or as an individual, or you're really organised or personable, they're things that are 90% of CVs we see. But that's not to worry, we've just got to think about what will make you stand out moving forwards. So ideally it's no more than one paragraph and it'll explain the following. So your work history to date, so what have you done to get to this point? Then what makes you stand out now? And again, just one sentence. And then what you're looking for moving forwards and perhaps even why if you want to do so. So I'll use a customer services example because everyone's either done a customer services role at some point or has experienced customer service and has an understanding of what it is. So for example, a strong personal statement on a CV for someone in that profession could be as follows. I've worked in customer services for the past 5 years, predominantly specialising in a contact centre environment. On a whole, I take about 200 calls a day. It's mainly complaint handling, but of those 100 calls, 80% of them left feeling happy and I have a 5-star customer service rating. Moving forward, I'm looking for a role that combines that phone work with face-to-face because it's something that I enjoy and motivates me. So there's an example of how you could just quickly explain and start your journey on a CV so that if an employer is reading it, They look at it straight away, that first paragraph, and go, I get it. Again, second in line is the key skills and achievements. Because again, imagine they're reading your CV, they've read your opening paragraph, and now bang, you can get their interest and engagement even more by bullet pointing how good you are with your key skills and your achievements. So it could be anything. If you've won an award, brilliant. If you've got Employee of the Month, fab. But for those of you who are unsure and think, do you know, I don't know how I stand out, then again, it's sizzle points. And what I mean by sizzle points is, again, if it's customer services, it might be, as I've mentioned in that first paragraph, you handle 100 calls a day. It might be, if you're a receptionist, I deal with 50 calls and it's so good, I have got 15 emails from people thanking me. It might be that you have some technical ability or good at programs such as SAP or Sage. You can put that in there. So think about the buzzwords that you might have seen on job description. Or if you want further advice, your consultant can explain to you the type of things a future employer in the job sector you're looking for would be interested in. And lastly, even though I know that qualifications are further down the CV as well, if it is an essential requirement, so for example, in HR, you need CIPD, then still put that in the key skills and achievements. Because remember, the main objective is that people then want to continue reading. In terms of employment history, one of my main pieces of advice I can give you is start with the most recent job first and then do it historically after that. And loads of people ask me, I've got loads of experience spanning over years, what do I do? In which case, just list the most recent and the most relevant, and it'll get to a point where it won't longer be applicable for the jobs that you're going for. And when you get to that point, you can just list it underneath, perhaps even in a nice table. I encourage you to have a line explaining what your company does and how your job role fits in so that it adds context. But then underneath that, just use bullet points to list your key duties. And if relevant, you don't need to do it for every single point, but just add that sizzle. And finally, you need to include a sentence at the end, and you don't need a bullet point, just to explain why you left the role. Because again, your CV is explaining your employment journey. And you see it in bold, I've put there at the bottom, please do explain any gaps that you have. It doesn't matter if you've been traveling or you've been off and you've been on maternity leave, or you've had to care for someone, or perhaps you just have been out of work. It doesn't matter, but what you don't want is someone looking through your online CV and having a question mark. Because if they've got a question mark, they might not reach back out to you. So in which case, just explain it so they go, yeah, that makes sense. I'll either ask them during the interview, or I know enough where I understand. And again, if in doubt, just reach out to your Adecco Group contact and they can absolutely support you with that. Education, hobbies and references. People ask again, should you put it in? Education, I think yes, even if it is a long time ago, like myself. Hobbies, again, it's just further opportunities to share who you are and the journey you've been on. So it can still be relevant, and hobbies make you unique. So anything to do with volunteering or extra courses that you're doing or sports club that you're from, it will make you stand out, especially where you're a little bit concerned of your employment history. This again can make you really unique. An employer take interest and see what a rounded individual you are. In terms of references, now this is up to you. It's not really a prerequisite anymore. And at the Adecco Group, we are more than happy to get references in advance where you see applicable, so that it saves you a job and your future employer a job, and we've got them ready. So either we can reach out to you, or you can put them on your CV. So that is completely up to you. Finally, you see here on the screen, we have created at the Adecco Group a template for you. So again, do reach out. How we've done it is that you can just type over it, and I've included the hints and tips that I've discussed during this session into that document so that it makes sense. And finally, for further advice, do reach out to your Adecco Group contact. We are here to help, and we do want to invest that time to make sure that you get the dream job that you want. Thank you very much and good luck.